Good evening. Meeting is now called to order. Our open session for November 10th, 2025. Ms. Vaughn, roll call.
Ms. Foster,
Present.
Mr. Hikes,
Present.
Ms. Jones,
Here.
Mr. Marston,
Present.
Ms. Hubbard,
Here.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Board of Education norms.
All right, I'm going to read the St. Louis Board of Education norms that were adopted on April 9th, 2019. I'll note that our governance committee is taking a look at revising them. But currently, they read as follows. Decision making. We believe our first priority and greatest concern is the educational welfare of all students in St. Louis Public Schools. We align decisions, discussions, superintendent evaluations, district partnerships, budget allocations, etc., to the current transformation plan. We demonstrate respect for diversity of thoughts, backgrounds, and experiences, roles, and decisions once they have been made. We embrace healthy debate. We acknowledge board members with differing opinions during discourse in both open and closed sessions to gain clarity and engage in meaningful dialogues. Professionalism. We demonstrate engagement by thoroughly reviewing the board packet and other documents, arriving on time to meetings and work sessions, remaining on topic during discussions, and respectfully interacting with each other, the superintendent, staff, and all stakeholders. We demonstrate respect for diversity of thoughts, backgrounds, and experiences, and roles. Communication. We demonstrate professionalism and respect for other board members, the superintendent, and district staff by adhering to timelines and deadlines outlined in the workflow calendar and any other tasks as assigned. We conduct all official board-related email communications using our slps.org email accounts. We read and reply to all board emails within 72 hours. We conduct all official board-related phone and text communications using district-issued phones. We check voicemail and return phone calls and texts within 72 hours. We are ambassadors in the community, and as individual concerns or questions arise, we will seek to understand the information and gather pertinent facts in order to direct stakeholders and staff to contact appropriate district personnel. We channel concerns or requests for information through the board president, who will direct those requests to the superintendent in an organized, concise manner. We recognize the importance of proactive communication and agree there will be no surprises. The board president shall be the official spokesperson for the board. The superintendent shall be the spokesperson for the district. Board members who receive requests for board issue positions shall direct the request to the board president or superintendent. And confidentiality. We respect and maintain the confidentiality of closed session items and the board's discussions on those items. We refrain from discussing confidential business in public with members of the press or anyone else not privy to such information. If it is necessary to provide a statement to the public following a closed session, the board president and superintendent will agree on a unified response prior to making the statement. I move to approve the agenda for tonight's regular business meeting.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
I move to approve the draft minutes from our October 28th open session.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
We We move now to our spirit of excellence.
Good evening. To our board, President Dr. Collins Adams, Vice President Hubbard, board members, and our listening audience. During this portion of Salute to Excellence, we would like to highlight some exciting news that we celebrated within this week. Our AICs, it was Academic Instructional Coaches Appreciation Day last week. To our AICs, please know that you are celebrated each and every day, and we appreciate the support and academic guidance you provide to our educators that help our students define the portrait of a graduate. Thank you to the team led by Dr. Deidre Thomas Murray and the entire Student Support Services that participated in the Hope for Homeless that provided much needed essentials to the unhoused community within blocks of central office. Those of us that are impacted by the SNAP benefits, please make sure that you are visiting your neighborhood schools for information, along with the Urban League, they will do a full drive distribution this Saturday, November 15th from 12 to 3 p.m. at their headquarters. Thank you to Dr. Smith and the entire team for putting on another successful parent university. Safety and security highlighted courage to report and other valuable information. Thank you to our parents for coming out and engaging with us. We are looking forward to your continued partnership, and we are better because of you. Hats off to the Gateway STEM Jaguars. Their season has come to a close, but their hard work and dedication is shown on and off the field. Way to go to the students who qualified for the MISHA Class 2 and Class 3 State Championship cross-country meet last weekend. Our student athletes have worked extremely hard throughout the season, and we are proud to have them represent St. Louis Public Schools at the state level. And if you could join us this Saturday in cheering on the Metro boys soccer team as they are on their road to the MISHA Class 1 quarterfinal game for the state championship. And the Geography Bowl, for those of us that attended, was amazing. Congratulations to the following schools. For first and second place, elementary, Malincrot, and Ashland. Middle school, we had McKinley, Mason, and then Gateway. And then high schools, Metro in first, Sumner in second, and CVPA. We would like to pause to recognize the veterans and thank them for their service to our country. In honor of the national holiday tomorrow, all district offices and schools will be closed. Now finally, it is an honor to speak to you tonight, not just as the interim superintendent, but as a grateful SLPS educator and a continued partner of this remarkable woman that we are celebrating tonight, our very own board member, Miss Donna Jones. In St. Louis Public Schools, we often speak about our spirit of excellence. When most people hear that phrase, they think of the incredible academic achievements of our students, the commitment of our dedicated teachers, and the high standards we set in classrooms. And while they are right, tonight, the spirit of excellence is also a living principle that guides our leadership. It is a vision that demands late nights, hard choices, and most importantly, the unwavering belief in what is possible for every single child in this district. Tonight, we celebrate a leader who is the embodiment of spirit. Board Member Jones, you have always held us, the administration and staff, to the highest possible standard. And you have, without fail, held yourself to the same standard. Your vision wasn't just about maintaining the status quo. It is about imagining a brighter future, more equitable future for the students of SLPS, and relentlessly pushing us towards it all. You have modeled the kind of passion, persistence, and community appreciation we seek to instill in ourselves and our students. Thank you for being the living proof that our spirit of excellence begins at the top. I now turn this over to our board president, Dr. Collins Adams.
Thank you, Dr. Berry. When board member Donna Jones stepped into this role, she didn't just join a board, she became the voice, the fiercely passionate, uncompromising voice for thousands of children who needed an advocate. Ms. Jones, your advocacy has been the bedrock of your tenure. It wasn't loud for the sake of being loud, it was purposeful. You taught us that to challenge, conventional thinking and to never settle for good enough. Excuse me, when excellence for a child is at stake. Your focus on equity, particularly for our most marginalized students, fundamentally shifted how this district allocates resources and how we define success. That is the mark of the true champion for children. Beyond the boardroom, your commitment to the St. Louis public school community is legendary. You never served from an ivory tower. You are a parent, a neighbor, a mentor who knows the lived experience of our families. You brought the pulse of our neighborhoods, the concerns, the hopes, the daily realities directly into our deliberations, ensuring our policies were always grounded in what our families actually needed. And what achievements mark your service? Your guidance and dedication. Under your guidance and dedication, we have made substantial progress in critical areas. You champion the facility modernization plan that is creating the 21st century learning environments. You push for increased mental health support in every school. You tirelessly supported initiatives aimed at retaining and rewarding our top-tier educators. These are not small things. These are foundational changes that we use to define success for SLPS for decades and for decades to come. Ms. Jones, you have set a standard for what it means to serve with passion, purpose, and profound dedication. You didn't just attend meetings, you changed lives. You didn't just vote on policy, you inspired a movement. Therefore, on behalf of the Board of Education and the Greater St. Louis Schools community, it is my distinct honor to present you with this proclamation in recognition of your tireless service, visionary leadership, unwavering commitment to the students, families, and staff of St. Louis Public Schools. Board Member Donna Jones, the entire SLPS family and community, thank you.
I just want to thank the entire city of St. Louis for allowing me to be here. And I have to say I cheated a little bit because I had somebody with me as GOD. He rode with me every step of the way. You know, there were many days that I didn't think that I was going to make it, because when you're stepping into the realm of education, you think you have to have all these qualifications, you have to have a degree in this and a degree in that. But I think a degree of compassion and love for your fellow citizens will suffice every time. And I came in because I was a parent in the city of St. Louis Public Schools, and because I was a resident of Waldner Park, and I could see my community falling everywhere around me. And I could see the dilapidated schools, and I was wondering what was happening, why the money wasn't coming into our schools, and I figured the only way is to participate. So I volunteered as a parent in my children's school, and I was there. I would sit on the playground. I would come and take pictures. I would participate in plays. I would be there when other parents, I know they had to work. I would stand at the bus stop when I know other parents had to work. And my message now is to stand in the gap for your fellow parents and guardians who are responsible for our young people in their future, because if we don't do it, who else will? Right now, public education is under fire. And I just want to say there are many people who are going to come along and they are going to be asking about St. Louis Public School property and St. Louis Public Schools themselves, but it's important that we maintain public education so it can stay free for everybody and not the privatization of our education right now. So our students are the most important thing in our metropolitan area, in our country. And so I just want to ask all parents and guardians and anyone responsible for children just to give it your all. It doesn't matter what you have or where you come from. Just spread the love. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Jones. Thank you, audience, for participating with in our celebration. We move now to our reports. Superintendent report.
Thank you. We will have 4 reports for you tonight. We will start in the order of our Safety Art Contest winners, followed by STIEFL presentation, followed by our APR presentation, and finally our school reopening plan. Mr. Graffman, come on up. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Berry, Dr. Collins Adams, and St. Louis School Board. 2025 marks the 15th year of the St. Louis Public Schools Kevin Coyne Safety Art Contest. Art is a powerful tool for us to grow, reflect, and process the human experience. It is often a means of expressing joy, beauty, and celebration, but just as often, it's a means to express our struggle. This year's artwork exemplifies all these things, considering the impact of the tornado last May. Students had a choice of addressing one of the 3 related themes. Number 1, Stormwatch, extreme weather awareness. Number 2, band together, supporting each other in the community. And number 3, climate change. Students from every grade level were instructed to express or research one of these topics and create its visual representation. As I was visiting art classrooms this fall, I witnessed students of all ages researching, dialoguing, and brainstorming around these topics. with profound insight. I'm very gratified to see our artist scholars wrestling with these issues and growing into change agents and today and tomorrow's leaders of this city. The entries are on display throughout the first floor here at 801 and can also be viewed on the district website. Additionally, we'll be able to share the images, there we go, on this PowerPoint. So as I call out the students, you'll be able to see their artwork there. The winners were selected by a panel of judges from the SLPS curriculum team. The prizes of $50 cash cards will be awarded to winners of 1st through 4th place in each grade level and are furnished by generous donors to the St. Louis Public Schools Foundation. Okay, thank you. Honorable mention recipients will receive a certificate of achievement. I would like to recognize the support and dedication of all the school principals, art teachers, and parents and families. And they're just very much represented here tonight, and I really appreciate everybody coming out to honor our scholars. And most of all, I would like to commend these outstanding students for their dedication to artistic excellence and community safety. Many of the winning students are here with us tonight. To the students, when I call your name, if you would please come forward and you'll receive your prize. If parents and teachers, I'll also ask you just to stand and be recognized too, because we want to definitely recognize you all. All right, and without further ado, I will call out the winners. So we're starting with the elementary winners for honorable mention from Woodward Elementary, Jaden Meeks. I don't believe Jaden's with us tonight. Honorable mention, Joshua Robbie at Peabody Elementary. And honorable mention goes to Maya Nelson from Betty Wheeler. And I believe Maya's here. Yes, very good. Congratulations. Thank you. And if you would, so let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. Why don't you take a seat here? When we get all the award winners, we'll bring everybody up for a photo, okay? Great. All right. For 4th place goes to Jinky C. from Betty Wheeler. All right. Congratulations. And 3rd place goes to Harmony Evans from Ashland Elementary, definitely one of our schools impacted by the tornado. I don't think Harmony's with us tonight, but her art teacher is here, yes? Okay, I'll make sure to get the certificate to you. Thank you. And 2nd place goes to Maya McNulty from Betty Wheeler. I think Maya's here, yes? Congratulations. And for elementary, finally, we come to 1st place. Ruth Sanchez Membreno from Oak Hill Elementary. Come on up, Ruth. Congratulations. Okay. Those are the elementary ones. I don't need those yet. Okay, we're going to move on to middle school winners. Oh, you got it. Okay, thank you. I'm juggling a lot, right? Okay, honorable mention for middle school. First honorable mention goes to Dylan Nolan from McKinley. Congratulations. Honorable mention also goes to Savarai Savira McKinney, excuse me, from Yateman Middle. I don't believe she's with us tonight. And also an honorable mention goes to Antoinette Speed B from Carnahan. Is Antoinette here tonight? All right, and then fourth place goes to Braden Davis from Carnahan. Congratulations. And third place goes to Maria Casco from McKinley. I don't believe, yeah, she's not able to join us tonight. Second place goes to Lamary Mack from Compton Drew. Congratulations. And first place for middle school goes to Leo Hernandez, also from Compton Drew. Is Leo here? Very good. Great job. All right, and finally, we're moving on to our high school winners. So honorable mention goes to Audrey Edson from McKinley. I think she's here tonight. Also, honorable mention goes to McKinley for Elodie Urin. And honorable mention goes to B. Stewart from Metro. Fourth place from Central VPA goes to Mary Bournes Ferguson. I think Mary made it. Third place goes to Donna Taylor from Clyde C. Miller. Donna didn't make it, okay. And second place from Collegiate goes to Miranda Hernandez. Congratulations. And last but not least, our first place high school winner goes to Makita Stanton, also from Collegiate. Congratulations. Well, it's a pleasure to honor all of you and your work, your excellence, your creativity. And so if I could have all the students present who won awards, and if they could come up here, please, and we'll get a photograph. And finally, I would just like to, if the parents and the teachers and the principals who are present, would you please stand, because we just want to honor you as well. Your commitment is really also what's making this happen for our students. Thank you for what you do every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Grabbenhaus, and he always lines the building with that beautiful artwork, so thank you. Next, we have our Steeple presentation.
And the families are free to leave now.
Absolutely, unless they want to stay. Chief. Chief Johnson, is Mr. Boyd here? Yes. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Mr. Boyd is fresh off a cruise, so we appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Yes, thank you. I do have hard copies for everyone, just in case they have difficulty reading the screen from there. And this. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lorenzo Boyd, Managing Director of Investment Banking for Stifel. I wanted to give a brief presentation and give a bond update overview for all the debt of the St. Louis Public Schools. I must say, when I showed up, I thought everyone was here for me, but I guess not. So with this, I'll go ahead and start the first slide. So as you can see here, and I'll look down at my presentation, currently, the St. Louis Public Schools has 5 series of bonds currently outstanding. And what you'll see there is the 2010, 2011, 2017, 2023, and 2025 bond issues that are still outstanding at this point. The 2010 bonds, those were what we would call qualified school construction bonds. And if you recall, back in 2008, there was a American Recovery and Reinvestment Act where school districts could and issuers can issue bonds where they were subsidized by the federal government. The school district did take advantage of that. So $56.6 million was issued through that program. There's currently $30.6 million outstanding. Those are non-callable because they're heavily subsidized, their interest payments from the federal government. Then in 2011, you issued $35 million of qualified zone academy bonds. Those were issued, as I mentioned, for $35 million. There's $35 million outstanding. Those are non-callable because their interest is also subsidized by the federal government. Then you have your 2017 bonds. Those were issued in the amount of $61.9 million. There's $22.6 million outstanding. They do have a call date of April 1st, 2026. So that means they can be refinanced for savings in January of 2026 should interest rates remain favorable for the school district to refund those bonds for savings. And then you have your Prop S bonds, which were approved by the voters back in 2022. And as you can see, those were approved for $160 million. The school district issued in its first tranche issued $135 million of bonds, and $135 million remain outstanding. Those can be called in April 1st of 2032. So the first time they can be called for savings or refinancing opportunities is in January of 2032. And then you have your last series of bonds, which were your last tranche of the $160 million issued by the school district for $25 million, and there's $25 million remaining at this point. In the state of Missouri, school districts can issue up to 15% of their assessed valuation for general obligation bond indebtedness. So with the most recent assessed valuation of the school district, most recent assessed valuation was over $5.6 billion. So at 15%, the school district can issue up to $840 million of general obligation bonds. They have a little over $248 million outstanding, so that leaves them with a debt capacity of over $591 million. Next page is your debt map, and I'll go through this pretty quickly. So this is basically a summary of the previous page, but it gives you the interest rates for all the particular bonds. And as you can see there, the qualified school construction bonds that were issued in 2010, they had various interest rates of 6.25, 6.35, and 6.45. And as you can see at the bottom of that page, the federal government is subsidizing those interest payments to the tune of almost 5.7%. The 2011 bonds, as you can see the various interest rates there, 460, 470, 475. The federal government is subsidizing those bonds to the tune of almost 4.6%. And then you have your 2017 bonds, which were used to refinance your existing 2010 B bonds. And as you can see there, those have $22 million outstanding, and their final maturity is in 2029. And then you'll see that you have the 2023 bonds, which are part of Prop S, for $135 million. And then you have your 2025 bonds, which were part of Prop S as well, that were issued for $25 million. Next page. In 2023, we did go through a process of looking at giving the school district or applying for the school district an underlying credit rating. I've worked with the school district since 1996. And 2023 was the first time that the school district actually went for an underlying bond rating. An underlying bond rating is kind of the equivalent of an individual credit score. So once the conditions for the school district became favorable, we then went forward to Standard & Poor's to receive an underlying rating. And as you can see there, the school district was awarded a AA- underlying rating, which is very good. It's in the top 15% of all school districts rated in the state of Missouri. Just to give you some examples of other metropolitan areas, I didn't want to compare St. Louis Public Schools to other surrounding county, but I want to look at other urban centers across the country. And just to kind of give you some comparison, Columbus City Schools, they're rated AA. Atlanta is rated AA. Cincinnati is rated AA-. KCPS, Kansas City Public Schools, is rated A+. Pittsburgh is A. Indianapolis is A. Cleveland is BBB+, which is barely investment grade, and Chicago is BB+, which is below investment grade. So you're in the top percentile of most school districts in what you call urban centers in the country in terms of your underlying rating. So we were very pleased with that. And then in 2025, after we went for the initial 2023 Standard & Poor's credit rating, the school district was affirmed its underlying rating at AA-. The highest rating that you can receive is AAA. So just to give you an example, there's AAA, then there's AA+, then there's AA, then there's AA-. So with that, of all the 500, I think there's over 520 school districts in the state of Missouri, only about 180 are rated by Standard & Poor's. That AA- is in the top, in the top 25% of all school districts. This next page, I'm not sure if you can see this, but this is what you call your debt service levy or your Fund 3 levy. And this is just a projection of the revenue that's coming into the district's Fund 3 account every year. And I won't go through too much of this, but I'll show you in detail. Since I've worked with the school district back in 1996, they've maintained a 62.11 cent debt service fund levy. And as you can see there, you're keeping that debt service fund levy at 62.11 cents. So with that, the school district is bringing in approximately a little over $34.6 million in 2026. Your current debt is about $32.9 million. So you're going to add to your fund balance next year, a little over $2.3 million. Money in the Fund 3 account can only be used to repay debt service on your bonds. It cannot be used for operations or any other purpose. So it only can be used to pay principal and interest on the bonds that you saw on the previous pages. And just with that, you'll see here, I'll just kind of highlight one thing. In 2000, you see where the green column comes into play? In the state of Missouri, you cannot reasonably have a 100% debt service fund balance, or you'll have to do one of three things. You'll have to lower that fund balance by either prepaying some of your existing debt, you'll have to issue new bonds, or you'll have to lower your levy. Historically, the school district has kept its levy at 62.11, so they've done what they call paid off bonds or defeased bonds in previous years. So they've used some of that excess revenue to pay down some of their existing debt. So think about if you were to win the lottery for $100,000 and you owe $20,000 on your car, presumably you would pay off $20,000 on your car with a $100,000 lottery payment. So this is kind of what the school district has done in the past, and you can see they've done that. I think it was back in 2024. I'm sorry. So we paid off some existing bonds back in 2024 with some of those excess fund balances. This next page. As you can recall on the first page, as I mentioned before, the school district has a series of bonds 2017 that can be refinanced for savings in January of 2026. The rules changed probably about 7 years ago, where you can only refinance your bonds within 90 days of its call date. So with that call date being 4/1/2026, the earliest you can refinance those bonds are January 1st, 2026. So we ran a summary of what current rates were in September, and as you can see there through this summary sheet, Back in September, if you were to refinance those bonds, there's a little over 14 million of bonds, you would save about 1.84%, so you would save about $275,000. So that comes to about $275,000 through 2029, so for the next 4 years. That savings was about 1.84%. In the state of Missouri, in order to do refinancing of bonds, you must save at least 1.5%. So back in September, you'll see there that at current rates that you were saving over that 1.5 minimum threshold at 1.84%. I ran this on October 27th, which was approximately 2 weeks ago, and rates have risen since then, so you're below the 1.5% threshold. But since, as Dr. Berry mentioned, coming off my cruise on Saturday and just kind of monitoring things, rates are down about 12 basis points, so we're creeping back up to where you possibly can be over 1.5% if rates continue to decrease. But legally, we cannot refinance these bonds or sell them until January of 2026. So we are continuously monitoring those bonds, and we presented the school district with an engagement letter to put those bonds into what we call to monitor those bonds. And if that engagement letter is signed, then we'll continue to monitor those bonds. And if rates are favorable in January, we will go through with the refinancing of that to save the school district funds. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Any questions?
Could you explain how bonds work, like you're explaining to a fifth grader?
Yes. So think of bonds almost like your mortgage payment. So bonds are issued over a 20-year, as mortgage payments are usually issued in 15-year and 30-year mortgages, or think of it as a car loan. But bonds, you typically take those bonds out, and they're issued over the course of 20 years, and the school district pays interest rates over those 20-year periods, and you repay that semi-annually, so twice a year. Unlike a mortgage payment that you pay once a month, you pay bond payments twice a year. So you'll pay principal and interest in the spring, and then you'll pay an interest payment in the fall, and that's repaid over the course of 20 years, and they have varying interest rates. And the bonds are basically, when you issue those bonds, that gives the school district money. So for instance, if the school district, if you recall for Prop S, they went for $160 million. We sold $135 million of bonds over a 20-year period. Then Stifel sells those bonds to investors. We then, once we sell those investors over a 3-hour period, we then give the money to the school district, and then at that point, you start paying the principal and interest on your bonds over the next 20 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So with that, if we are able to go out for a bond, the question is just two questions. One, will we have to get approved by our taxpayers? And if so, is it any additional cost to the taxpayers? And then the second one, could we use that money for things like schools? What can we use it for?
Yes. So I did run an analysis before, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. So if as you can remember, let's go back to this first page. Well, it's off now. If you recall, go back to the first page, page 2. You see there where it has the debt capacity analysis. So remember I talked about how the school district can issue up to $591 million up to their debt capacity of 15%. In 2026 or 2027, that's not to say you can issue $591 million at your 60-11, but you could issue up to $225 million at your current 62.11 cent debt service fund levy in 2026 or 2027. And so that would keep the tax rate as it's been over the last almost 30 years. And those funds can only be used, again, for improvements to the schools and renovations, new schools, and things of that nature. It cannot be used for teacher salaries or things like that.
Thank you, but we could use them for renovations.
Exactly right.
Understood. Thank you. I do believe we are asking for a recommendation tonight, correct?
I do have, yeah.
Understood. Okay.
I have a few more questions. Board Member Jones and Board Member Heights. Your mic's on.
You may have already answered it, but I just got to ask it. With all this you discussed, how much, will we have any money to build, will we have any money in January if we wanted to build new schools?
Not in January. So if the school district wanted to, if St. Louis Public Schools wanted to go out for additional money, they would have to take that to the voters. So the earliest you can take it to the voters is April of 2026. So it would have to be approved, and bond language would have to be approved by the Board of Education by January, I believe it's 26 of 2026. And then at that point, once that language is approved, it can go to the voters in April, and then you must need 57.1% of the voters who voted in that election to approve it. So that's in 2026 or 2027. Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
Yes, hi. Several years ago, I believe I met you
Yes,
at a convention in, I think it was Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Okay, and my question to you at that time was about financial literacy in St. Louis Public Schools, and I was asking about if Stiefel had a curriculum or some ways that perhaps you could assist in the education of our students in finances, because so many of our students are at free and reduced, and I'm sure that their parents and their families would appreciate them having financial literacy at an early age. And just wanted to know if you had developed anything since then, because we really need some financial literacy.
Yes, we do have a Bonds 101, and I grew up in the city of St. Louis too, over on Red Bud and then on College. So we were products of St. Louis Public Schools early on, so financial literacy was very important to me growing up as well. So we do have a Bonds 101, and then also a basic seminar, a financial literacy seminar that we can give. And really we've tailored it to 6th grade and up, but we could go further down if we wanted to.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And if the school district wanted to pursue that, then you just get in contact with me, and then we will put on a seminar at some point with several of our representatives. We've done it through St. Louis Community College. We can certainly do it through St. Louis Public Schools, because we've developed that curriculum to actually work through 6th grade and up. You're welcome.
Any additional questions? Superintendent Barry?
Yes, ma'am. We are coming tonight for recommendation, correct?
Yes, to move forward with the engagement letter to potentially refinance the 2017 bonds.
Absolutely. So we would like to ask the board to approve our recommendation to move forward with the agreement for the 2017
Yes, ma'am.
bonds.
I move that we move forward with the 2027 agreement bonds as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Just to add that Stiefel did present to the budget committee about a week and a half ago with the same information, and members of the community sit on that board, and we definitely appreciate you answering all of our thorough questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Vaughn? Roll call.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And with that, once I receive the completed engagement, we will then put together the financing team and start to move forward, and then come back to the Board of Education as soon as rates are favorable. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question.
Yes.
So, no, to Mrs. Jones's point, who would we contact to, because as she said, we do need financial literacy. So who would we contact you?
Just contact me directly. Then I have a representative in our Stiefel Bank that I will put in contact with the school district, and then we'll work on putting together the curriculum. And also, I'm not sure how long it would take to put together in terms of from your vantage point of putting together a school that we would deliver this curriculum to, but we can deliver a host of seminars, and we'll work all those details out. But initially, get in touch with me. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Chief Johnson, I hope you heard that. I did. All right, we'll get on it.
Not only that, but Dr. Dino, too, it looks like you'll be working on another curriculum. Teamwork.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, next, we have our APR presentation.
Good evening. Good evening, President Collins Adams, Vice President Hubbard, Interim Superintendent Dr. Berry, and members of the board and listening audience. Tonight's annual performance report provides a clear, data-driven look at our district's progress under MSEP 6. Basically our report card for the district. This report card highlights where St. Louis Public Schools continues to grow, where we must focus, and how our collective efforts position us for the 2026 accreditation year. So we always want to lean into our strategic values. Tonight we're going to lean into highly effective educators and leaders because the report card is a reflection of that. Of course, equitable and multiple sources of data, and college and career-ready critical thinkers. As we anchor all of our work in the portrait of a graduate, we want to lean into the CSIP goals that this presentation specifically aligns with. One is our district goal 1. So we shared these about 2 board meetings ago, but in 2023-2024, there were 5 schools with an annual progress report of at least 70%, and the goal is by 27-28, there will be 8 schools with an APR of at least 70%. And then district goal 3, SLPS will increase the percentage of students scoring proficient or advanced on the MAP and EOC assessments by 15% by 27-28. And as we go into some of the data tonight, hopefully we'll be able to really explain why district goal 3 is such a critical goal and what it means to improve our overall APR and our MPI. Here's the agenda. It is robust, but we will move quickly. So we are going to talk about some areas of positive momentum. So look at some of our highlights. We're going to look at the actual annual performance report. As you know, it went public on November 6th, so it is out there. We're going to look at the APR supporting data, including our performance totals, the continuous improvement totals, and then of course we want to look at some year-to-year comparative trends, right? So how are we doing now? How are we doing the last couple of years? And then we want to talk about what is our composite APR and what is that pathway to accreditation. So a look at our highlights. We had an overall improvement in the percentage of APR points earned. So for 2024, we had 65.7, and in 2025, we have 66.5. We had some really great gains in academic achievement growth for English language arts. So you see that there. For all students, we had 9 out of 12 points, which gave us 75%. And for our student groups, we actually had 6 out of 6 points, which gave us 100%. We have 7 schools, so thinking about that CSIP goal 1, 7 schools achieving 70% or higher on their APR. So you can see those schools listed there. And again, we want to continue adding to that list. Where we want to lift up the most on this slide, though, is our 8 schools with a 20+ percentage point increase. So we are super proud of that list. These are schools from across the district. So we have Adams, Herzog, Hodgen, Laclede, Lyon, Monroe, Pomosia, Sticks, and Wilkinson all made 20+ percentage point gains, which is huge. I know that, right, exactly. We want to lift up that actually Herzog and Monroe are both comprehensive schools, and also 95%, which is one of our big ELA programs that we are on the 2nd year. Last year there was a pilot year, so 4 out of the 4 schools that piloted 95% group showed gains. So we have Laclede, Lyon, and Pomosia, and also Gateway. They're not listed here, but they did have huge gains. They had 9.5% increase, and they also had 75% growth. And then Laclede, Lyon, Pomosia, you see them on this list. They also all had 100% growth in both all students and student groups in English language arts. So big snaps to those schools for making great gains. All right, so looking at the annual performance report card, I will not read you all the data on the slides. The data speaks for itself, quite honestly. But we want to talk about this annual performance report marks our first scored year under MSEP 6. So this is important. This establishes our district's baseline for accreditation. St. Louis Public Schools earned 66.5% of our total points possible, with 56.4% in performance and 90% in our continuous improvement. These results show that while our instructional performance remains a clear focus area, our governance, compliance, and continuous improvement systems are operating at a very high level. The 2025 APR serves as the foundation for our first composite accreditation calculation. It will combine with next year's data to determine our official accreditation outcome in 2026. All right, so looking at our status, our performance totals, the 2025 APR shows that SLPS earned 50% of possible points in academic achievement across all of our tested subjects. So that means each content area, ELA, math, science, and social studies, received an approaching designation. Okay, so this is reflecting study performance and establishing, again, our baseline for improvement for 2026.
Chief Mitchell,
Yes,
I just had one question. You mentioned that this year's data and next year's data will be combined to talk more about the district's like accreditation status.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit more about why that is, or just like the process? For our
Yeah,
listening
it actually
audience?
comes up on our last slide, so
Sweet.
if I can
Thank
talk
you.
about it a little bit more than I think it
Great.
makes sense with the data when we get to the end slides. Perfect. Okay, so this slide really looks at our academic growth measures along with college and career readiness and graduation indicators. So just kind of for the board's knowledge, growth scores are based on what's called the Missouri Growth Model. It matches each student's current and prior MAP scores and predicts expected performance using cohort and district averages. Growth is calculated as the difference between the actual and predicted scores, and those residuals are then aggregated at the district level. For student growth, growth is recentered statewide. This is the critical piece. It's recentered statewide, meaning a positive score reflects that those students outperform peers in comparable districts. So they essentially, I call it like the bell curve model. So they look at our students' growth scores, compare them with similar districts, then they come up with a composite average, and lots of calculations. As we highlighted earlier, in English language arts, growth performance was strong. So you can see that here on this slide, earning 75% of points for all students and 100% for student groups. Math growth remains steady, with student groups showing measurable improvement toward an on-track performance. All right, now looking at continuous improvement. I went with paper today instead of my usual computer. Okay, in the continuous improvement section, St. Louis Public Schools earn 90% of our available points, reflecting strong systems for planning, compliance, and reporting. The district received full points for the improvement plan, LEA response to standards, climate and culture survey, the kindergarten entry assessment, which is the KEA, and ICAP implementation. The only areas not earning points this year were attendance and the audit, which we will receive full credit for next year once the current audit is completed and submitted on time. So we will have those points next year. And what we want to really lift up here is this represents a major increase from the 23-24 school year. Specifically, the district only earned 50% of the ICAP points and 0 points for KEA last year. So in response, targeted actions were implemented to strengthen both processes, resulting in the full points for 2025. Additionally, for the current academic year, the district is already on track to receive 100% of our KEA points, as reflected in our October core data submission. All right, and looking at our assessment participation, our assessment participation rates, as you can see here, they remain very strong, above 99% in every single tested content area, and that is no small undertaking, so thank you to everyone that works hard to make sure every student tests. All other accreditation considerations are in compliance, including fund balance, superintendent certification, and required board member training. The single no under this section, it simply reflects our audit submission and the fact that we did not submit our audit on time. And again, we will be fully compliant with this academic year. Okay, now looking at our trend data. And so we talked a little bit about MPI. So this table shows 3 years of trend data for MAP Performance Index, which is the MPI, and this is across all of our tested content areas. The MAP Performance Index converts students' MAP results into a single numeric score that reflects both achievement level and the distribution of scores. So this is essentially how that raw student data turns into an MPI, which impacts our APR, if that makes sense. So each performance level is weighted. Below basic gives you 1 point, basic gives you 3, proficient gives you 4, and advanced gives you 5 points. Those are average across all tested students in each subject area to produce the district's MPI. Then you multiply it by 100, and then you get a score that typically ranges between 100 and 500. Higher MPIs indicate a greater proportion of students performing at the proficient or advanced levels, aligning directly with District Goal 3 to increase the percentage of students scoring proficient or advanced on the MAP and EOC assessments by 15%. So that's why that is one of our CSIP goals. And so looking at that 3-year comparison, English language arts remained steady overall with a slight fluctuation. In 2024, mathematics continued modest upward trend from 296.2 to 304, indicating small but consistent gains. Science saw the strongest improvement, increasing from 314.1 to 323.7. This is the largest single-year growth among all of the content areas. And then social studies maintained a relatively high MPI, remaining above 350, showing continued stability in that area. Collectively, these 3-year MPI trends serve as a roadmap for guiding instructional priorities and ensuring continued academic growth and achievement. So this is the MSEP 6 annual performance report card, looking at this from 2022 to 2025. So it shows the 4-year APR trend under the MSEP 6. So the district has maintained consistent growth, with overall points increasing to 66.5 this year. So continuous improvement, again, remains a district strength, holding at near 90% every year. Performance indicators have fluctuated over the 4 years, with improvement from 2023, but a slight decline in 24 to 25, underscoring the need for continuous focus on academic achievement. And then overall, this reflects a stable upward trajectory as we move toward the 2026 accreditation determination. As we move from the table to this visual, you can really see the trend more clearly over time for each area. So it illustrates 4 years of performance under MSEP 6, and so performance, remember, is going to be that academic achievement performance, continuous improvement, and then our total APR points earned. Okay, and so continuous improvement, again, has been consistently our strongest area, maintaining between 88 and 92% for the last 3 of 4 years and returning to 90% this year. Total APR points earned have also remained stable, with small gains each year from 63.2 to 66.5, which is where we are right now. And then together, this reflects that while performance outcomes have fluctuated, our underlying systems and compliance structures remain strong and steady heading into 2026. Okay, and this is it, the final slide. All right, so this is the big one, because this slide represents our 2025 composite APR score, which combines data from 2023, 2024, and 2025 to establish the baseline for the 2026 accreditation determination. For accreditation, you have to compare 2 composites 3-year average scores. So this year represents composite number 1, so we have the 66.5, and then next year it will be composite number 2, which is going to compare data from 24 to 26. There is no classification change this year. So I'm going to repeat that. There's no classification change this year. The composite 2 will determine our accreditation status next school year. So again, continuous improvement remains a district strength, while performance sits at 56.8%, reinforcing our need to accelerate academic growth and achievement outcomes. So where do we go from here? As we look at right now, as you can see on this slide, if we were to be in a classification year, we would fall in the provisional range. And so for next year, as we look at our North Star, we would need to get 74% of our APR points to be in the 70% range with the 2 composite averages to give us that 70% accredited. Okay, so that gives us, again, a roadmap of exactly where we need to go based on the data that we have right now. And that is it. Any questions?
Any board member questions? Board member Foster?
Yeah. Outside of I think you said the KEA and the ICAP scores, maybe attendance. Outside of that, where do you see us next year potentially getting more points or some of those increases?
Absolutely. One of the places that we are looking to gain some more points is in the CCR area. And so that actually has a lot of our points. And we have the dream team from CCR here. But the CCR assessment, so right now as a district, we require
Explain
two.
the acronym for our
I'm so sorry.
audience. That's
College and Career Readiness has a lot of points. And so the CCR assessments is one, so making sure our students are prepared to take those CCR assessments, increasing participation in the advanced placement and dual credit programming, as well as making sure our students are ready to take those tests. That is definitely a place where we can see an increase in points. We, of course, will continue to work on attendance and work on academic achievement. I'm going to lean back into that CSIP goal number 3. If we can continue to, number 1, have our students show continued growth, like our STAR goal, and then on the CSIP 3 goal, increase the number of students that are getting proficient and advanced, we will see a huge jump in our scores. If you notice the metric, when you're talking about MPI, the number 1, like the score of 1 for below basic, and then it jumps all the way to 3 just from moving a student from below basic to basic. So those are all places that we can really drill down and start to see major improvements in our scores. And then, of course, those audit points. We are 100% getting those points next year. So.
Board Member Jones.
I had a question about CTE. How does that factor in improving in the scores?
So let me see if I can explain it as well as Dr. Henning. You ready to hop up? Okay, we're gonna let him take this one.
Good evening. Great question. So CTE, we get points basically as students complete. There's different classifications. So as they graduate, they are if they earn different industry recognized credentials, and then if they go into a field that they actually got their certification in, and they go into a career that is connected to that, we're able to get graduate follow-up points for those students. And we can also earn points in the advanced coursework category as well.
So it's
Do
a,
we-
oh, go ahead.
Do we currently have any vendors that are helping in that effort? Just for instance, like we know that Train has a program that they're instituting, and our students can become certified. And we have many programs at Clyde C. Miller, also at Gateway High School. And I'm just interested in finding out, because when I go to graduations, and I think I went to 12 of them, and there's a lot of hoopla about the students who are going on to college and that kind of thing, which is a wonderful thing, but the way the economy is now, we do need more of our students going into the trades and who are getting certified before they leave our doors. So I'm just hoping that we as a board can also encourage vendors and people that we work with this year and this upcoming year to make sure they are assisting us in certifying our students before they leave the door. But how does that work?
Yeah, excellent question. So we, there are some vendors that we purchase assessments from that our students take. So every single CTE pathway is required to take an assessment as those students complete, and then they earn a credential that they could take out into the world and they could get hired, right? So that's one way our vendors, but also businesses, we have advisory committees for every single one of our pathways. So we actually don't purchase anything there. They help to advise, okay, here's what the careers are, and if your students are going to go into these careers, here's what they need to have in order to enter those careers. And so they meet with our instructors, with our CTE department, semi-annually usually, and then we have a larger advisory board that meets with all of career and technical education to kind of give district guidance on, maybe working with developing a data analytics like we're trying to do with Train, for example.
This is my last question. So I noticed that during my tours of schools and just visiting in general, that when you walk down the hallway of a lot of our schools, that I'm not noticing any type of literature or photos or anything about different type of career pathways. I know we have a counseling office and that kind of thing. That's great. But if I'm a parent coming up to visit or someone that is trying to help my student to choose a new career as they exit high school, then I don't know. And even if I'm a student, if I'm walking down the hallway and I see aircraft pictures on the wall and I see that Park College is close by, that kind of thing, I'm just hoping that we will be more encouraging of our students with literature and things in the hallways to help them start to envision something new and better.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can always do better in that area. One of the things that we do, and I would invite our board members as well to join us in this, every Wednesday is College and Career Wednesday across the district. Top to bottom, left to right, everybody is asked to wear something that represents either the college or the career. So to your point, Board Member Jones, it just opens up those conversations. Even with a 4-year-old in pre-K can look and say, what is that on your shirt, right? So those are just some of the small things, but if we all engage in it, it can have a profound impact. Yep.
Board Member Jones actually said a lot of what I was going to ask about vendors and being able to offer some things to St. Louis Public Schools. The board really does want to see our skilled trades, available to the students, but they have to have viable programs in order to be able to learn those things. So if there is something that Dr. Berry can organize and present to us and under your leadership, because you know that quite well, you've been doing that for a while, please present it to us so that we can actively assist. Board Member Hikes?
Since we on the CTE platform right now.
That's his
but-
baby, okay.
But I like sitting next to Ms. Jones because she makes me think and she makes me go a little further. Because unfortunately, all the things that she's talking about, I'm blessed to do it, but I'm not doing it in the public schools. Unfortunately, I'm doing it at St. Mary's. But we can do it here. All because I have the electricians come by, the sheet metal workers come by, carpenters. I have all of them come to my school, that school, to show them these different trades where they can go. So I'm saying that to say we can do it here. We just have to figure out how to get by the bureaucracy, if I can put it that way. Because we can do it because, I feel good to do it there, but I still feel bad because I can't do it here, if that makes sense. Because we even get OSHA training.
Right.
So there's a pathway. We just got to find a way to get it in here, because we do need it. We need it because we hoping that our kids can be fixing St. Louis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So yes, I guess Dr. Henning, me and you gonna have to really beat our heads together to make this happen, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do appreciate you. I want you to know I do really appreciate you.
No, and I appreciate that. And we have an announcement coming up soon. I don't want to get out in front of it too much, but it does have something to do with apprenticeships in St. Louis Public Schools and being one of the first in the area. So that's a little teaser for you. But absolutely, the work is being done. Yeah, and so we're going to continue to push forward with that.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
I was going to say, Dr. Henning stole my thunder. I was going to tell you that we had a look. They were being modest, but we do have some plans in the works, and we are going to be bringing some presentations to you in the area of CTE, so look forward to it. Absolutely.
Just don't ask for just don't ask Mr. Hikes for an electrician, but that's an inside joke. Go
Can
ahead,
you
Ms.
rem-
Hubbard.
Can you remind me which grades take which tests? Going back to MAP scores away from CTE.
Oh, yes. 3rd grade through 8th grade take the MAP, and then high school, different grade levels take the EOCs.
What about the science and the
Oh, I'm
social
sorry.
studies?
Yes. fifth grade and eighth grade take science. So that's a great question. So third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth all take ELA and math. And then the fifth grade and eighth grade science are actually comprehensive tests, which is a little bit different than the other ones. So they have standards and cover topics from like the comprehensive span of the grade levels. So.
Okay. And have we publicly released our scores, or are they still public but like hidden in DESE's website?
I mean, we have published
this
this.
lovely
This is on the
publication.
website officially, and then otherwise it is on the website for DESE. If there's certainly another way we want to present, we definitely can do that. We have all of our scores, and we're actually doing at the principals meeting on Wednesday. We are going over each school's APR report card individually in alignment with their school level CSIP goal, and then looking at some data planning and next steps based on this data. So, yep, we have, again, this presentation, and then, yes, hidden on the DESE's website under, 8 to 10 different clicks, so.
I
Right,
think
thank
that's
you.
what we were, my next question would be, when do the individual school scores get discussed and then parents know what's going on?
Absolutely, and we can definitely come back and let you know how we're engaging with parents. That's a great point. But yeah, on Wednesday at the principals meeting, so this was the first principals meeting after the data went public. The principals, the moment everything went public, they were given a folder with their school's data in it as well. And then just so the board knows, this is not data that was compiled. A lot of this data here is the snapshots right from the DESE website, so that we could take a look exactly how it would look if you went into the DESE portal to pull this information.
So for the benefit of the parents that do not have the opportunity to spend time looking at scores and analyzing numbers, please consider creating a video that would briefly explain what they should expect, what the scores mean, why we are judged by some of those things, so that parents know what's going on.
Absolutely, we can definitely do that, no problem.
Thank you. And it would come up in one of the rolling clicks on the main screen, so they don't have to look for it. Just
Okay.
like a commercial. Thank you.
Absolutely, I'm looking over at the comms team. We have a
Well,
new
because
video to
what they're going to
produce.
do is they're going to get a news clip,
Yeah.
as we did recently when the scores were released, and it doesn't always have accurate information. And so they'll throw out something about a school district, and parents go into an automatic panic of, oh my God, SLPS is not doing what they're supposed to, when it didn't have the specifics in it that actually defined what was going on at the time, and that 2022 was, we weren't held harmless for any of those things. They don't know what that means. And so
Right.
when the only video you're going to see is a news clip in between commercials from the news media, that's not good.
Understood, absolutely. We
Thank
can
you.
definitely work
I
on
know
that.
you know how.
I do, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, in full transparency, Mr. Poole has something prepared already. He was ready to actually submit that and send to your attention, but wanted to present this to you all tonight. And Dr. Dino, you can come up if you like, but we do have a plan how we're going to disseminate this to each individual student, as well as what the principals and the teachers are going to do in the classrooms. So briefly, Dr. Dino, thank you.
Hi, good evening. As Chief Mitchell mentioned, we'll be working with the principals on Wednesday to review their individual APRs. They each had to set their own school's goals through their CSIPs, just like the school district did. And then from that, we're getting ready to do our middle of the year benchmark assessments in December, so we'll have some growth data then, and then they'll be able to look at their CSIPs, their mid-year progress. Students and families received information at parent-teacher conferences. Any students who needed reading success plans, all of those pieces will be coming together. And as far as working with individual students, it's really about their goals, like where their students' goals are towards working towards proficiency and towards meeting their growth. And then principals will be coming in January to do mid-year CSIP presentations like they have done for the last couple of years to share where they're going so that we can make sure we're going to hit those proficiency targets in May. Thank you.
Board Member Foster?
Can we just talk a little bit more about what we're doing as a district to increase our students' social studies and science scores? I know we hear a lot about 95%, which is like focus on ELA, and Amplify, which is like very specific science grades.
Yeah, certainly. So we actually have new science materials at every grade level this year. In K2, we use the MDC, the Missouri Department of Conservation materials. In grades 3 through 8, we have Amplify materials, and then in grades 9 through 12, we got the newest version of Open SciEd, so that we make sure now that all of our science instruction for students K to 12 is aligned with NGSS, which is the Next Generation Science Standards and the Missouri Science Standards. It had been a while since we'd done kind of all of that for all of our grades, and so that's a key piece. One of the really nice things if you're in schools and see Amplify in action is there's a lot of literacy and hands-on all at the same time. I was in a classroom recently where they were talking about circuits, and the kids were trying to decide every time you added a new place in the how bright the light would be or if the fan would go. And then they did some reading about it and do some observation. And so the purpose of our goals when we decided on which materials to choose was so that kids would have a lot of opportunities both to learn the science standards and to build up their literacy skills at the same time. In social studies, it has been a while since we've had an adoption in social studies, but we did see some increases in our scores for our EOC from last year. One thing to note different with the EOC scores is it's never the same students who are taking the test twice. And so like in any of our MAP tests, you can see like a third grade group last year, what did their fourth grade scores look like this year for cohort data? But for our EOC tests, like in biology and social studies, they're entirely different groups of kids and they never take them again. And so we don't see individual student growth there, but we can see growth in terms of are we hitting the targets that we're trying to. Thank you.
Dr. Berry?
Oh, ma'am, that's everything. Thank you so much, Chief Mitchell. And for our final presentation, this will take a team, but we have Chief Watson leading the charge. And so while we know there's a heavy slide deck, we will move quickly, but please feel free to stop us at any point.
Good evening to the President, Dr. Collins Adams, Vice President Hubbard, the board members, Interim Superintendent Dr. Berry, Square Watson, Chief Operations Officer, just to provide an update around our school reopening proposal. We'll begin by reaffirming the district's strategic values. I want to highlight the authentic family and community partnerships, equitable and multiple sources of data, personalized supports, and innovative pathways. These values lead to our desired outcomes, which include highly effective educators and leaders, joyful and engaged students, and college and career-ready critical thinkers. Highlight our portrait of a graduate and the core traits that guide our scholars' success. And so tonight's presentation will be a collaborative update. This is from our Student Support Department, Dr. Smith, Technology, Chief Mitchell, and our Finance by Chief Johnson. So we'll start with the FEMA and SEMA updates. So the following schools, they have been processed by FEMA. Meaning some of the scopes and the work and the preliminary cost estimates have been established, though they have not been finalized. You also see that we're awaiting FEMA approval for both Sodan and Beaumont, and some sites, due to the magnitude of damages, require Senate approval before funds are released to SEMA. And once approved, SEMA will coordinate those funds directly with the district for disbursement. Now we'll get a chance to see the visual, and the purpose is to share both the short-term and the long-term proposals for potential reopening of the storm-damaged facilities. So with the first one that we have is Beaumont. So the photo to the left is actually after the storm, and then you will see the board up to the right. I want to also note that when I mention short-term repairs, they only refer to temporary measures, such as window replacement and environmental remediations. This will allow for our schools to safely reopen until those permanent materials, such as the lead times, for example, for the windows you see here, they may be up to 6 to 8 weeks. Some of the scope of work, again, mentioned around the remediation, just general cleaning, some maintenance repairs to the windows and floorings. We anticipate that the building would be ready by December the 12th with those temporary repairs. Next are photos of Hickey, where you will see damages from the windows to the left, in the middle fencing, and to the right, some of the steel awnings. Those grates actually were, the wind more or less displaced them, so they are actually not in all of the spaces, but doesn't necessarily serve, at least from just the inspections and the initial assessments, any structural needs. So this is more of a cosmetic fix. But again, with some of the repairs, we anticipate, and now you see other pictures of the roofing, of the fence photos, and with these repairs, we anticipate the readiness by August of 2026. Now we're showing photos of Washington Montessori. They sustained damages of windows, roofing, flooring, and our rooftop HVAC units. Again, you'll see some of the photos here to the left of some of the glass block, and you'll see photos of the roofing and the roofing damages. And again, with the temporary windows that are currently being installed at this point in time, we anticipate the building to be ready by December the 12th, 2025. And again, for our short-term repairs, we have Yateman Middle School. Yateman Middle School received, or they had sustained damages to the windows. There was some fencing. Again, we have provided some temporary security measures to replace some of those board ups. And again, that the environmental team is conducting remediation, just not for Yateman, but for all of the sites to ensure a safe access to our buildings, not only for students and staff, but also for contractors. And again, our anticipated readiness is December the 12th. I'd just like to note, even with all of these schools, in which you will see on this next slide, which provides a summary, and you'll see the estimated completion target date, with the majority of these short-term repairs being ready by December 12th, 2025. Hickey being the one of the buildings that we anticipate in an estimated completion date of August 2026. But with these short-term strategies and proposals, we just want to reinforce that these short-term repairs are to ensure safety and functionality while we await those permanent materials. And next, I will transition over to Dr. Smith from Student Support Groups to talk about some other considerations and factors.
Good evening, everyone. That came up a little quicker than I thought it was going to. So some other considerations, we all know that there are physical considerations have to be taken into account. We also know there are financial considerations, but sometimes what we don't think about are some of the other considerations when we're talking about relocating kids back to a location, or the first time when we had to relocate them in the first place. So one thing that came to top of mind was about our medication transport. We do have some students in the district that require medication. They have some fragile needs that we have to make sure that we're considering. So even in the transport of those things, we have to make sure that we're working collaboratively to communicate those things to our operations team because there are some things that have refrigeration needs. Even though we're talking about moving refrigerators, once we take those medicines out the refrigerator and we transport them in coolers, there's only a certain amount of time they can be in those coolers before we get those refrigerators back restored and then those medications returned to those things. There are some things that have to be very carefully transported. We have some medications that are in vials. We have medicine cabinet needs that have to be restored on walls and things like that. So sometimes we don't think about those things. And also, even though, a little better? Okay. And also, even though we're storing a lot of information in Focus, we still keep those hard copies of records. Just in the case of a technology glitch, we still have to be able to communicate to those around some of those medical needs. If there's any indication of a nurse being out, we do have medical designees in the schools that are still able to prepare the medication, the insulin, the feeding tubes, and all those things for our students. So we have to make sure that we always have access to those records, or even making sure those records are transported in a timely manner and that they're available on day one when schools are relocated is going to be critical. Another thing that we have to consider is the social emotional needs of students. There has to be some internal conversations, which we're already talking about with our students. For some students, this relocating even back to their original environment can be triggering, especially when we think about our students who are part of our students in transition, sometimes even just another transition, even though they've been in this location for a while, being uprooted from this location, even though it's the return to their original location, can still be triggering for some students that say, oh my gosh, it's another move. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be stable. Doesn't mean I'm going to see my same friends. So we have to start having those conversations, and just to make sure that they understand what this means as far as restoring their stability, also to our greater community, that they understand about what that means for restoring the stability in our communities. And then last but not least, sometimes when you have transition, it can bring out some of our behaviors in students that we have to make sure that we're taking into account. So anytime those transitions happen, whether it's returning from a long break for the holidays, it's a great time to have those whole school resets, to make sure just we're reminding our students about what our expectations are, what those routines and procedures are in those classrooms, and just having a chance to have those conversations. So again, outside of just the physical and the financial, we have to make sure that we're always taking into consideration our kids' also emotional and mental well-being. So those things are other considerations that we have to take into account when we're reopening schools.
All right, some other considerations, again, as we think about reopening some of the co-located schools is around technology. And so a lot of technology got moved to the co-located sites in the first place. We have to be really strategic because those are some of our capital assets. So the first thing that we'll do is, actually it started this week, is conduct walkthroughs of the schools scheduled to reopen by January 2026 to complete that initial technology audit inventory. So to look at what do we have already in our inventory, what's still in the school, because we didn't take everything. For example, we didn't take boards that were mounted on the walls and things like that, to make sure everything is working. Then we will visit the co-located schools to identify and tag technology that requires relocation by the movers. And so these are big items. So these are the big iPad carts, interactive boards that are mobile boards that were taken over to some of the co-located schools. A goal when we did co-locate schools was that every single school, every single classroom had everything that they needed as far as technology. So every classroom had a board. They all had their one-to-one technology and all of those things. So then the next thing is, and so we will encourage our parents and listening audience on this one, is we're going to coordinate pickup and delivery of iPads and laptops that did not go home with students. So again, pending board approval, the timeline for this would be right at winter break, so we will not take any technology before the last day of instruction before break. Our hope is that we get 100% of parents to go onto Focus and sign the contract to allow their students to take their technology home over break. If you remember last year, we had a really extended break and some AMI days, and so our hope is that we don't really have to do a lot of that bullet number 3, because we're hoping most of them do go home with students. But if we do, we will coordinate with our district TIC team to do that again in a strategic way. That way, when students do come back in January, they have their one-to-one devices in their classroom charged and ready to go. And the final thing is actually with one of our partners, RICO, and so we did move printers into some of the co-located buildings, and so that particular move has to be coordinated with the RICO team, and so we will have that done as well.
So the next set of slides you'll see are some of the images in particular to our long-term repair proposals. It is our intent to repair all of the damaged buildings back to their their pre-damaged condition. So we start with Ashland. And as you can see, Ashland, they sustain heavy roofing damage. Ashland has the type of roofing system that we call a slate roof. They also have clay tile. And you also see the picture to the left, or one of the challenges with our buildings sitting without any students and unoccupied is vandalism. So the photo to the left actually shows the main power, and it totally been stripped, which resulted in no power to the actual building. And you see additional pictures that we have, such as those to the right, where you see the classroom, and again with Ashland, in one of the most severely impacted buildings, you can see the damage to the ceiling tiles and to the windows, to the lighting, and even our low voltage. And the photo to the left just shows just a glimpse of the playground in its current condition. Another facility building that also sustained heavy damage is Soldan, similar to what was just mentioned around Ashland. There were, to the photos to the left, you see the damage to boarded up windows. That middle photo actually shows some columns as you're coming up the entryway. And then the photo to the right is a view overlooking out of the window, the right above the green space area. You will see a lot of the debris that came off the roof, which included some of the caps for the roofs, and also some of the equipment that was on top of the roof. And again, additional photos that you actually looking in the classroom. To the left, again, the board up, and again, that visual of the ceiling tile and ceiling grid system. And then this other photo where you actually are looking in the classroom. So when we spoke to or speaking around the environmental component, those photos to the left just show some of the flaky paint that has now made its way on top of the desk, onto the classroom floor. And you can see from those middle pictures in the far right picture, again, just some of the damages that was sustained at Soldan. And last but not least, we have a photo of Sumner. This is the roof over at Sumner. We have been in the process of actually retarping the roof. We've received damages from the initial tarp or initial response to Sumner, in which you'll see these following pictures include this classroom, in particular room 304, where you could actually see just the sky from this particular space, and you see further damage in that same particular classroom to the right. And because the buildings, again, with some of the moisture and not being able to fully run our systems the way we typically do, the floors have buckled. So the photos both to the left and the right just show the buckling of those floors. This timeline, again, is reflective of our long-term proposal in which for Ashland, Soldan, and Sumner, with the scopes of work and an estimated completion target date of December of 2026. A lot of this dealing with the lead times, not only for the windows, but we also anticipate with the roofing repairs and the amount of damage that the lead time, in particular to that roofing style, is anywhere between 6 to 9 months. So that December 2026 estimated completion date factors in those lead time, but also the extensive amount of damage that both Ashland, Soldan, and Sumner have been impacted by. So this next slide it speaks to our walkthroughs, where we've had stakeholder walkthroughs. Last week we were able to go with the board to the sites, so all 7 of the sites, to actually see some of the damage firsthand. We also did walkthroughs with our school leaders, both where we had one that was conducted on October the 10th. We also conducted a walkthrough with our school leaders on November the 6th. And we also met with our union, our local labor unions, Local 420, Local 44, Local 42, amongst those that were present. and of course our contractors. Our contractors, following up on the RFP that was posted on November the 3rd, which closes on November the 19th, they were able to conduct a walkthrough of those facilities. And last but not least, as we are looking to engage our parents and community, we haven't determined a date at this point in time, but definitely looking to make sure that all of our community, our parents, our school leaders, collectively all get an opportunity to walk our buildings. And this is after these repairs have been made. So this next slide, I do want to just kind of outline the process. These are our projected costs. So what you initially see, or what was initially stated, that we had $77 million of estimated damages, and that factored in several assumptions. Some of the assumptions included that that a lot of the buildings sustained structural damage. There was also assumptions that when the $77 million estimate was provided, that it include all new items, such as a new roof, new windows, new flooring, and the list goes on. After we met with FEMA, well, we first had our initial walkthrough with the St. Louis Building Division, and that happened around the second week of June, and we were joined by our insurance company during that same time period. And again, walking these buildings with both of those entities, and then we later walked with FEMA the first week in August. After our walkthrough with both the insurance company and FEMA, mid-August, FEMA provided us with what you see, that second column, which is the estimated of the damages, in which you see the amount of $5.5 million. This is purely an estimate. Again, the walkthroughs that was conducted back in August and some of those other previous walkthroughs is not our final cost. Our insurance provider gave us an estimate of around $7 million, just a little north of $7 million. And the information that you see in that second column with FEMA does not factor in some of our mitigation measures, such as storm windows or additional roof clamps. So we're still getting those final numbers from FEMA, from our insurance company, but I just wanted to at least provide this document for the board, for the community and listeners, to know that there are several lenses that we're looking at these costs. This first one, again, when we look at the second column for the damages, that's what the initial cost, which doesn't include those mitigation efforts by FEMA. But I also want to highlight the second to the last column. And again, this is a different lens. Outside of FEMA, this is from our insurance company. Those schools that are highlighted, Ashland, Hickey, Stevens, you see that the deductible amount, I'll take Ashland for example, the deductible of $348,000 is less than what the estimated amount of damages. So with respects to the deductible and the damages, the last column is reflective of what the district will potentially be on the hook for. So the deductible that we would have to pay for Ashland is reflected in that last column, and you will see, and this is a maximum worst case scenario, that the district would be out of pocket of approximately $1.4 million. And next I'll transition over to the Finance Department by Chief Johnson.
So when we talk about the lenses of the different costs, I want to switch now the lens of recovery and emergency services first. Once the storm happened, we had to mitigate those damages, right? We had to make sure we knew what it would take to bring people in to board up, to clean up, and to also our staff to support those efforts. So actions that we took to track and monitor those recovery costs, the initial recovery costs, included we established accounting codes, made it specifically for to track and monitor all expenditures related to the storm and storm recovery. We also separated those codes and have an assignment based on FEMA, SEMA, and our insurance-related proceeds. Second, we need to know what funds are coming in for what locations. As we know, we have several schools, both open and closed schools, that we need to track those proceeds that come in for FEMA, from SEMA, and from our insurance. So we need to track it by location. And then finally, we need to keep accurate track of the monthly costs and tracking reports through finance and working with operations. We're tracking on a monthly basis what those costs are, where we're at in terms of paying contract costs, and then making sure that we are submitting that to both the board, the public stakeholders for transparency, and so we can have that proper documentation for reimbursements and audit sake. So let's talk about our current and projected emergency response costs. We're looking at the lens of what did it cost for us to actually go in after the storm and start to mitigate those risks. Our total budget that was allocated was about $1.5 million. Of that budget, we have secured contractors both for facility-related repair, moving, debris cleanup. Of that, we have spent about $1.2 million in terms of that's the major category. So let's go back to the total expenditures. When we talk about the 1.5, we have to talk about the cost. What did we hold for those contracts? That's what we consider our encumbrance. Of that amount, we are adding what we've actually paid out in reference to those contracts. So for the encumbrance, what makes up that $1.3 million is that we're holding about $1 million obligated or secure for those contracts. And then of that $1.3 million, we have paid $300,000, sorry, for actual against those invoices. So when you look at that, you talk about what are the major categories, cost categories that make up that $1.4 million. Well, first of all, the biggest portion is the facility repairs, the moving, and the debris cleanup. That was about $1.2 million of projected costs. And then lastly, we talk about extra service. What did it cost for our people to go in and mitigate that? What did it cost for our security, for our custodians, our project managers from operation? So we paid an extra $333,000 for extra service pay. Now, what do we expect our costs to be for the rest of this fiscal year? We have estimated costs of moving back into the buildings, estimated right now at about $400,000. That is just to simply hire the movers and have our staff move back into those locations. Second is estimated cost of repairs of the physical buildings. We're estimating right now about $2.8 million. And this is simply for all of our tornado damage occupied schools. It does not include what repair or necessary costs for those closed schools. And some of the items that this $2.8 million will help support, it includes facility restoration, our remediation services, transportation, food service equipment. You got to think about how we get back up and running the cafeterias, technology replacement, temporary space, and then overtime. Again, for note, these are costs outside of the insurance premiums and our deductions. What was the budget impact and the funding sources? So far for FY26, our budget impact include how do we support those short-term funding gaps? Basically, how do we cover those recovery costs? Well, we supported those costs through two avenues. One, through our contingency funds, reallocating some of our contingency budget, and two, through through operations budgets, reallocating some of the budget that operation has been allocated to help support some of these services. Second, we're depending on reimbursements, again, from FEMA, SEMA, and our insurance premiums. But again, we don't know when that reimbursement is going to come in. And then, of course, we have to plan for any unplanned emergencies that still may occur this fiscal year. Now, talking about FY27, our budget impact, we got to start to budget for those pending reimbursements that we're going to get and how we are going to use those reimbursements to help support the continual repair. As Chief Watson mentioned, we have 3 schools that are anticipated to come back up proposal in December 2026, so we need to budget for that. And then lastly, any unplanned services or emergencies that may occur in 27. And then lastly, we need to determine what is the funding strategy to help develop those needs for 27. Again, the replenishment plan, how are we going to put that money back into our contingency? Remember, our contingency budget is used for planned overage and costs, such as our SPED, such as extra transportation, such as salary increases, or any changes that we are planning for that we had put aside that money to cover those costs. And then, how are we going to cover any additional cost? Of course, we're looking at our fund balance possible spending. What will we be presenting to the board for your approval? As part of our second quarter budget review, we're going to present to you our budget adjustments during that quarterly review. That will tell you what are some of the areas we're going to be requesting additional changes in our budget, and we'll talk about a lot more about what the costs are that we're seeing, both for not just the recovery, because we had to take that from contingency, but also some of the other items that we're looking at. And then we're going to come to the board and we're going to seek approval on talking about how do we recover, how do we put back those fundings for contingency? How do we support that? Are we going to use insurance premiums to support that pot? Or are we going to use the actual FEMA and SEMA reimbursements? So we're going to be coming to you asking for what is the source of funds that we are going to use, and what is the method are we going to develop to replenish those funds. And finally, the finance team will provide a detailed expenditure report by site and funding sources. That's part of our reconciliation on a monthly basis. And of course, we're going to be transparent and making sure that all of our documentation, our financial data, aligns with DESE and all of our audit requirements.
So our next steps, we're going to continue our community engagements and feedback sessions, such as the one we just recently attended for the Ville neighborhood, provide ongoing updates to families, and present a final proposal to the board at the December work session. We're going to coordinate the following teams for implementation and planning. That include our project inventory technicians alongside with technology to confirm our assets, as you just heard from Chief Mitchell. And that's all of our assets. That includes our desks, chairs, technology, books, all the assets from our co-located even to those home schools. Conduct weekly progress meetings. That's with our stakeholders. That includes our school leaders, our academic team, human resources, chief of schools, interim superintendent, where we have these weekly meetings so we can provide updates on progress and building readiness. And also just some of our logistic planning and coordination. That's with our facilities team, our contractors, even our transportation team as we look at rerouting and some of the logistics when it comes to the move. And last but not least, just from a procurement standpoint, where the RFP was posted, again, on November the 3rd, with the closing date of November the 19th. So with that, we will open it up for any questions.
See, we have a lot of questions. Let's start with Board Member Marston, and we'll go straight down. You can just run these. Yes.
All right. On slide 29, I have what I think is a good news, bad news, maybe good news take. So on slide 29, it's been corrected since the October 14th presentation, so that now the SLPS total column for the yellow rows just shows the deductible, because we wouldn't be paying the deductible and the amount in the SLPS 15% column. So that drops the grand total that SLPS is responsible for from $1,968,000 to $1,483,000. So that's $485,000 less. That's good news, especially as trying to balance the budget $500,000 at a time. So this is that's a pretty good chunk. But then looking at it, if you divide the SLPS total of $1,483,000 by the FEMA estimated damage amount, which was $5,550,000, you get 27%. So I guess in my head originally I thought, oh, FEMA and SEMA are covering 85% of it, and that just leaves 15% for us, and it's looking more like 27%. So the repairs are more costly for us than I originally thought. But maybe this is where the question finally pops up. So in the SLPS total column, if it's not a yellow row, does insurance cover it?
So, if, for example, like
Oh,
Beaumont.
Beaumont, yeah.
So the insurance, because if you see Beaumont, for example, the deductible from the insurance is $1.8 million, but the amount that was estimated in terms of damages is $30,000. So because our deductible is higher than the amount of damages, the insurance will not cover like those unhighlighted schools. So Beaumont would be covered by FEMA. Using that same example, where FEMA would pay 75% of the cost of the damages. So that third column, where we're looking at $22,000. SEMA has not been confirmed that we will get the 10%, but if we were to get the 10%, you will see that amount, and then the district would be on the, district would have to pay that 15%, which is reflective on the SLPS total.
Okay, I think I understand. So in other words, that would be our money and not insurance money for that $4,534. And then just having gone on the tour of the 7 schools, there's a lot of things that struck me, but one is that, Ashland was hit really hard by not just the tornado, but by people who went in after the tornado and ripped out anything metal they could get their hands on. So not just the main service coming in, which we saw a photo of, but inside any wiring. I'm assuming they got the pipes because there's water on the first floor, so I'm assuming that's from a broken pipe. And then even the brass newel post cap on the staircases, they took that, they didn't take it in a careful way. They smashed the whole staircase apart to get it. So that was just really hard to see. But thankfully, the other 6 schools that we toured have not been vandalized that way. And I hope it stays that way.
Okay, we're going down the row. I'm next. So, Mr. Watson, thank you so much. We have waited a long time to be able to do this. 6 months have gone by, and had we been in those buildings, and I do know that I was a pain in a lot of people's necks by asking when, and now we're doing it. We are able to open some of the schools. The schools that remain damaged, that we won't be able to move people into because we have to extend the timeline to get that work done. Will we be able to see progress pictures of that? Because the picture speaks 1,000 words, and we can't always stop what we're doing in our jobs, our family lives, to be able to go in and take a tour. But if you're going to do a presentation, could you just show us a few updates in photo form?
Absolutely. We're taking progress photos almost daily. and to what Board Member Marston in terms of to the community. If you see something, say something. It's a collective effort, but we will be taking progress photos and make sure that that information is provided to Dr. Berry.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Berry, for getting on this so that we could get these schools ready.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Watson, for everything that you're doing. And I appreciate the opportunity to go view the schools, and I appreciate my fellow board members. We all came along to take a real look and not just look at the pictures. I want to ask the community to really step their game up, because there is some organized effort, I know I've said this before, to destroy our schools. And they're coming in, and if they have the ability to climb a pole, an Ameren UE pole, and cut the wiring and do all of that and not be detected, or no one can come in, the police can't come in and figure out who it is. It's a very professional job. This is not someone just, we always think random person on drugs and they're stealing a few pieces of wire. No, this is something organized. Every time we start talking about the schools, something happens and someone comes in to destroy the school even more. But with Beaumont has a wonderful culinary program, as well as where they do hair on the other side and what have you. But with Beaumont, their culinary program is in desperate need of supplies. The equipment that I saw was not what we want our students to have. And I'm hoping that someone in the audience will donate equipment for our students. Nice pots and pans, dishware, table sets, that kind of thing. So I hope that you can contact someone in the school district and make that happen. And also, when we went to Hickey School, I'm hoping that Hickey was a beautiful school as well. The part that he talked about with the steel grating on top, I'm hoping that perhaps instead of us being consumers, we can be producers of energy and perhaps replace that with solar panels to collect energy, and so our students can see what a difference that would make in their lives. And I just want to see us be more productive, and I'm hoping that the contracts that we have that we'll be able to utilize, and I know you talked about this, Chief Watson, our students and training them. While we're spending all this money, we can train our students and have them certified in hazmat and lead, that kind of thing. I've done it before with St. Louis University. And when they come out of school, they'll have all of that instead of us having to reach out of town to get people who will drive in from Texas or what have you. No prejudice against them to do the work, but let's utilize what we have. We have students who are ready and willing, especially with the Urban League has been giving monies out for utilities assistance, but I know as somebody who's in need of it sometimes that Ameren UE is cutting people off, and our students really need the help, and they really need the work. So I'm really hoping that we will do that, and when we open these schools back up, let's have a store like we do in Yateman and several of our other schools that will have supplies, coats, blankets. I know Dr. Deidre Thomas-Mary has been doing a wonderful job, but we're really going to have to step our game up, because we're going to have thousands of our students who are going to be hungry and going to be cold. So please, let's utilize these thousands and thousands of dollars that we're going to be spending to help our students in the neighborhoods. Thank you.
Mr. Watson, first and foremost, I want to thank you for all the work you've been doing to move these schools forward. And I've seen the work, and I'm really proud of what you guys have done so far. But for the schools that you got designated for December 26th, is there a way you think, and we know that safety is paramount, is there a way that the schools, the students can occupy them while they're under construction? But keep in mind, we know that safety is paramount. But we know in some instances, like it's only one section of the school, maybe we can board it up, or for lack of a better word, cordon it off, where the students can, because most of these students want to get back to their school. You know, they are okay, but they want to get back to their school. So you think there's a way possible that we can get them temporarily prepared for them to be able to use their school, even though it's under construction?
Noted. So as we get our proposals and we finalize those proposals and we make our final recommendations to the board in December, that is something that we'll definitely consider, and we'll bring our recommendations to the board.
Echoing my fellow board members, like, definitely appreciate your hard work, and especially our custodial staff. When we did several school building visits, the custodial staff was always present, very polite, very informative and transparent about what updates needed to happen floor by floor. And so I'm curious a little bit to hear more about, like, the communications plan as it relates to speaking with parents of students from co-located schools, as well as the principals. I know we said we have a principals meeting this week on Wednesday. Might be quick turnaround time, but, like, an easy feel for the room, kind of what are your thoughts? What have you been hearing from parents or students? Because I think it's important to listen to what we think as a board, but we don't occupy these school buildings. Our children are not in these school buildings. And so I'm just, like, curious to hear more about what that communication plan will look like as far as receiving their feedback and actually implementing it.
It's okay, I'll jump in here.
Yeah.
So yes, so far we've had, I want to say 3 large committee meetings within down here, talking with principals from the co-located schools. They've been involved with various departments, various team members from departments to talk about the proposal we can bring forward today. So the plan is, once we brought the proposal today, we will go back and we're going to ask the school community for their feedback. So there'll be individual links that'll be sent to the parents and the staff of the individual schools, asking them about the proposed plan. Also asking about their feedback. From there, we're also going to have a parent and as well as teachers join the committee. So the committee is going to expand. It is our hope to have 2 from each of the schools. Once it expands, we take the feedback, we collaborate, and then we're going to bring you a final proposal that would incorporate the feedback from everyone by December 9th. We just didn't want to bring anyone in until we were able to speak with you and share our original plan with this. The principals have been involved and been in every meeting that we've had with this.
So these are for the schools that we are going to reopen?
Yes, these are for the 4 schools that we proposed that could be reopened by January of 2026.
Okay, so might I make one really serious suggestion based on some experience? When we propose something to parents, sometimes it's important to go to them. There are churches in all of these communities that have space for us to meet, and so they don't have to come to us. They don't have to worry about getting Wi-Fi or whether or not they've paid their cell phone bill to be able to log on or even remember what their log on is. God knows I never remember mine. And we just go into a space that's theirs. I did those kind of community meetings as a principal for years, and it's really appreciated. You go to them, and you go into the neighborhoods that, you know, and the neighborhood facilities that they cherish.
Yes, ma'am, that is certainly the plan. We plan on taking our communications to them in their space. So absolutely, we hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, and I'll also add, like, just giving kudos and props to Chief Watson, Dr. Berry, and Dr. Hennings. Like, this weekend we attended a community town hall in the Ville neighborhood. We heard a lot of great feedback on what we can do for our buildings, for curriculum for our students, and so definitely know that our staff here at the district, us at the board level, are starting. We aren't perfect, but definitely are working more and being intentional about being in spaces where our community is actually at.
I just wanted to add with Dr. Collins Adams that 801 doesn't seem to be close to any bus stops. I looked at going from SLU to 801, and it was just, I would have to walk so much. So public transportation is not accessible for students and families that use it. They can't get to here without walking a really long way. And maybe we could ask the city to change some, or by state to change some routes or something. But I just want to, I don't know how long that takes. But when we're thinking about going to parents, it is really hard to get here.
This is my last question, and I know I talked with Mr. Watson about this, of creating a wish list for each school when we're out here talking with the public, when you're talking to parents, like you said, that we create a wish list of what they really want to see. So we can help, all of us can help work on it.
Chief Watson, thank you. I do want to thank the entire team. It has been the entire team to make this happen. So we appreciate the board in supporting this, and I want to stress to our community, we are committed to this, and we will make this happen. So thank you. That's it. That concludes our presentation.
Now we move to our public comment section.
Good evening to President Collins Adams, to Vice President Hubbard, to our interim superintendent, Dr. Berry, and to our wonderful board, and to our community. Thank you so much for joining us. Out of respect for our board members and their mission to conduct district business, we will continue to enforce guidelines for public comments. They are as follows. Citizens interested in commenting should sign in between 6 and 6:30 p.m. Each commenter will have up to 3 minutes to address the board. Each commenter must remain respectful, refrain from using names or speaking derogatorily about anyone. And only one individual or group should speak to the same point on one topic, and that will happen really seamlessly tonight because we have one commenter. He is Mr. William Monroe.
Hey, Mr. Monroe, thank you so much for staying with your look just now when we said we thank the community and you turned around. We kind of lost it up there. Thank you for making us laugh.
Thank you. The word came out transparent. And I want to be transparent at this point, because there are those of you who know that Bill Monroe has a lawsuit against the previous abusive board, primarily for banning me for 6 months, but and this lawsuit is taken by WashU for the First Amendment. And as we see our federal government, we see how important this First Amendment really is. When I sign in at that table, it says, do you want a written response to what you're communicating about? And I've been standing before this board for more than a decade. And I see the need for uses of several vacant buildings, schools, for the unhoused. Many of you say the word unhoused. We have an urgent need to take these vacant buildings, and two that I've identified, or three. You got many more that you can choose. Langston Middle School, Banneker, Stowe. These are vacant buildings that house vagrants, animals, thieves, and Ms. Jones, there's no conspiracy to dismantle these buildings. It's thieves and the nature of this community that has no jobs. And thieves and robbers come in and they take a piece of metal. I've seen thieves take metal from a school. Matter of fact, I broke up one such thing at Beaumont one day and called security. And they'd take a basket of metal to the junkyard and get $20. That's no conspiracy, all right? That's just thieves, all right? And I'm asking this board to consider, and I'm asking for a meeting regarding these vacant buildings. And there's money available to us right now. There's another issue here too. I signed up for the vacant seat on this board. And I hope I'm being considered. And I hope that sign-up worked. Did the board receive any such sign-up from me as to hit this vacant seat that was abandoned? Does anybody know about Bill Monroe signing up for that vacancy? Anybody? Or can you speak to it? Is that my 3 minutes?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Consent agenda items 13.1 through 13.66. Any discussion?
Yeah, sorry, in the interest of transparency and community participation, I just wanted to restate something that I said at our work session, and I'm going to say it again because maybe there's a little bit bigger audience for a regular business meeting than the work session, and it doesn't hurt to say it twice. So I've heard people say they don't know what the consent agenda items are because they only hear the numbers, and I wanted everyone to know that there are full descriptions, including the board action reports and any related documents that are posted publicly on the district's website, and those are posted on the Thursday before the work session. So our meetings usually are on Tuesdays. The agendas with all of that supporting documentation are posted on the Thursday before. As an example, the agenda packet for tonight's meeting is more than 1,000 pages long. That's a lot to get through and review, and the more people who are paying attention, the better. So the best time to contact one or more board members with comments or questions about something on the consent agenda is before the work session. And if you want to contact any of us, our contact information is listed on the district's website on the Board of Education page. And the process is we discuss the consent agenda items at the work session and then actually vote on them at the regular business meeting. So by the time it's part of the consent agenda for the regular business meeting, it's probably going to pass. So I just wanted to state all that because it's going to look like, wow, you're like flying through this, approving this long list of things, and I don't even know what any of them are. It's because to get to this point, there's been sort of a lot of discussion and review and work done. And again, we welcome any comments or questions or input about those items, but the best time to do it is between when it's posted, when the agenda is posted for the work session and the work session. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Board Member Marston. And when we do the work session, the agenda items are read individually so that people know what the titles are and know what to look for. Are there any other discussions? Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Oh, Ms. Foster? You have a question? Oh.
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Heights?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Items for discussion on section 14. Items for information. Section 16, items for action. These items will require a motion from the board members. Item 16.1, Central VPA Collegiate HS renovations.
If the board would allow, At this time, we would like to ask or make a recommendation to pull 16.1 and 16.8 from the agenda under items for action, and we are more than happy to explain a bit more information.
I make a motion to pull item for action 16.1 and 16.8.
Second.
Discussion?
Was that and?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, 16.1 and 16.8.
Okay.
Roll call?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion to pull those items are approved.
16.2, St. Louis University practicums for occupational therapy students.
I make a motion to approve 16.2 St. Louis University practicums for occupational therapy students.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Abstain.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 16.3, St. Louis University student teachers.
I move that we approve item 16.3 St. Louis University student teachers.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Abstain.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 16.4, St. Louis University practicums for speech language pathologists.
I move that we approve item 16.4 St. Louis University practicums for speech language pathologists.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Abstain.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 16.5, approval for writing submitting 2 grant applications with Parsons Blewett Memorial Fund for St. Louis University.
I move that we approve item 16.5, approval for writing submitting 2 grant applications with Parsons Blewett Memorial Fund for St. Louis University.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Abstain.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 16.6, Community Partner, St. Louis University Talent Search.
I move that we approve item 16.6 Community Partner St. Louis University Talent Search.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones? Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 16.7, proposed 2026 legislative platform.
I move that we approve item 16.7, the 2026 legislative platform.
Second.
Roll call?
Oops, sorry, any discussion, discussion.
Discussion?
I just want to thank Mr. Carroll for all of his hard work and the legislative committee for producing our legislative platforms for this year.
Mr. Marston?
Yeah, I had a question under the legislative issues of importance, the 7th item. It says support amending the state constitution that would guarantee that no tax dollars can be used for non-educational entities or organizations. And I'm having a hard time parsing that one, but sort of grammatically and in terms of the what it's saying. Because it seems to say that we support an amendment to the state constitution that would require all tax dollars to be spent on educational organizations, which doesn't seem like the sort of amendment we can make, and because state funding pays for a lot of other things besides educational organizations.
Mr. Carroll, can you address that?
There's a group of public educators that are gathering signatures currently to put on the ballot a constitutional amendment to make sure that no funds can go to non-public education. education groups. Because of the recent court decision in the state of Maine, even though we currently have it in our Constitution, they feel like that the Supreme Court could rule against us and could actually use state dollars.
So that's no state funds that are designated for education. But that's not what it actually says. It says no tax dollars, period. And it says sort of support amending the state constitution instead of
That would
support
guarantee-
an amendment to the state constitution.
That's fine, however you want to word it, but, I mean, I think the last part of the sentence can't be used for non-educational entities. It should be non-public educational entities. But we can word it however you want. I think you get the point we're trying to make. We're a little concerned because of the Supreme Court decision in the state of Maine, which their constitution is roughly like ours. And so if it gets challenged, and right now, as you know, the NEA is challenging actually using state tax dollars into the voucher program instead of tax credits. Right. So that's
I
being
think I
challenged
understand
right
the intent now. I don't know if I can do this on the fly, but I'll attempt it. Support an amendment to the state constitution that would guarantee that no education tax dollars can be used for non-public entities or organizations.
That sounds good, but how do we Robert rules it into our current motion that's on the table?
I can withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Revise.
Is that what you're saying? Revise it.
Yes, we
I
could
think-
say
Yeah,
support.
you can make the motion to approve it with the revision on number 7 is how you would do it.
A motion to approve it with the revision of that particular line. Then you,
Second.
I'm waiting for, Board Member Foster? Just withdraw it first. We have it. We have it? Got it, thank you. Do we need to reword it, Ms. Vaughn?
No, I was just waiting on you to say it was okay to vote.
I'll get the new wording to you. I know what you want.
I couldn't hear you. What? I'm sorry.
Yes, we're good. The motion was made. It was second with the revisions.
With the revision, all right, thank you. Further discussion? Call for a vote.
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I'll get the language to Ms. Vaughn.
Yes, thank
So
you.
she has.
Item 16.9, IGDF Student Fundraising Policy Recommendation.
I make a motion to approve item 16.9, the student fundraising policy.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Marston.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull out a sentence in there that says a group may only use the name, logo, or mascot of the district or of a district school in reference to a fundraiser if the fundraiser has been approved by the superintendent or designee. I tried to make it French. Or the school board, and the funds raised go to the district as represented in the advertising. So this, I happened to read this at like the same time that there was a fundraiser for the McKinley Band Boosters. There was a McKinley Band Boosters fundraiser on November 5th, organized by parents at Steve's Hot Dogs. And, you know, they're doing the work to organize and publicize and put this thing together. And it seems overly restrictive to have to funnel everything through either the superintendent or the school board. It kind of creates a possible bottleneck. And I feel like it could make it harder for people who are just trying to help. So again, just using this fundraiser because it's one that I'm personally familiar with. My wife helped set it up. But it's, you know, it's to cover things like sheet music that really, in an ideal world, the district should be covering, but parents are taking it upon themselves to do this, and I just don't want to make it harder for them. 'Cause I've already heard things about how with things being more centralized in terms of dispersing funds now, it makes it harder at the school level to get money to do things at the school level. And I know, you know, it was in reaction to things that Keisha Scarlett did, but it feels like it's punishing parents who are just trying to raise money for a school.
Well, Dr. Berry will address that, but it really is to be able to keep not so honest people honest, so that we do this and we are consistent across the district. Dr. Berry.
Yes, ma'am, that's exactly right. So unfortunately, many policies and procedures are created for the exception and not the rule. But with this, we are also creating a fundraiser committee. And so we will have about a team of 6 that we've already met once. It's not a finalized committee, so we will get it finalized. But we're sitting and we will go through all of the requested field trips, because right now there is a process, and they go to the network and they come down to Dr. Dino's office. And the turnaround, we will have deadlines that'll be quickly to be able to turn around. And so when these outside groups are asking to use the name of the logo, we'll be able to get that to them quickly so they won't have any lag time. If you hear of anything, please let us know, but it's our intent to make sure it's a smooth process and an equitable process.
And I know the answer to this, I think, but there will be a communications campaign, I would think, to let all these groups know what the new process is, because otherwise, like the only reason I know about it is because I'm on the board. So I think there's a lot of people that need to be notified.
Absolutely, we hear you loud and clear. We'll make sure that happens, and we'll work with Mr. Poole as well as Dr. Dino to make sure that we get that information to our network superintendents, to our principals, and then disseminate it out to the staff and the parents in the community.
Roll call. Excuse me, is there any additional discussion? Ms. Vaughn, roll call.
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
No.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
We move on to board reports. Are there any additional board reports for governance, Prop S, real estate, retirement? I do have one announcement for legislative. Oh, and audit. I have a legislative one.
I'll just mention from the real estate aspect that the school board is in a negotiation with selling Marshall School in Cleveland, just so the public will know.
Thank you. And the legislative breakfast that was scheduled for November 13th will be rescheduled for the first week in December. That information will will be posted, and invitations will be sent to our community leaders. Are there any other board reports?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
The governance committee met last Thursday, and we worked on our board norms. We have a revised set that I need to send to you all to have a look at. And at the next meeting, with y'all's feedback, we can approve them to be submitted to the board for a full adoption.
Thank you. Thank you all for leading our committees. I do believe we have a Prop S meeting coming up soon.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we will be having a Prop S committee meeting. I am the new co-chair along with Mr. Square Watson. So the committee hasn't met for a while, but we will be scheduling a meeting.
Thank you. Board Member Foster, anything on budget and transparency?
Yeah, just quick updates. Thank you to Chief Johnson for giving a high-level overview of current expenditures by funding code for schools in the district. Dr. Berry was also able to attend that meeting where we also heard from Stifel, specifically around the bond issue that we heard about today. And then I know in the future we'll be moving forward with proposing recommendations for the board during our quarterly reports.
Thank you. Well, that ends our board reports, and we move to item section 18, the adjournment. Don't all run out of here at one time.
I make a motion that we adjourn back to closed session at 9:13 p.m.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes? Yes. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
We are adjourned back to closed session at 9:13 p.m.